welcome back to Two Balls and a Mic. We have a special edition of Two Balls and a Mic and Two Balls Under Wood. But this time we also have a special edition of Two Balls and a Mic Under Wood with Nate Miller. It is Miller time once again, boys. Let's welcome assistant coach, el mero mero de San Diego Loyal, Mr. Nate Miller, and Alan Underwood. How are you guys doing today?
You first. Doing great, guys. Good to be here with you.
Perfect. I mean, again, Nate, thank you for your time. Obviously, in the middle of the season, really can't take that for granted. Being able to hop on here with us and talk with, you gave us a green light to talk about whatever we wanted with you, Nate, and ask. I know that means that you're not necessarily going to answer everything, but it's fine. We're here to ask those questions. But Nate, could you just kind of give us a perspective of where you're at right now with the team? We talked with you, I believe, right before the season began and into a couple of games, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So now we're, mid-season, almost casi halfway through. How do you feel that the team's performed so far? Are you happy with where you are standing wise? Just in general, how do you feel the season's gone?
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. It's a lot, very layered. We're about a third of the way through, and how the schedule lined up this year, it's very distinct waves. So with one game getting postponed, it kind of turned into being one big, very, very long away stretch that we had to manage, which was a good challenge for us and hard, very hard at times. But yeah, I think we wanted to get to a place, admittedly, a little bit better of a place, but ready to basically play home all summer. 9 of 11 with a rescheduled game coming are going to be home. So it's a key part for us. And yeah, I think that we've had some great moments, probably the hardest away schedule in the league so far. And now we get to play at home. So we've learned a lot about ourselves. We've gone through difficult times, really, really good times. And now it's kind of, the stage is set for us since this is now after 12, 13 games, time to really perform, right? So we've been building, and now it's time to really perform and hopefully get to where we want to be.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, you're coming back home. So tell us, I mean, again, we've heard from Landon what the environment at Torero is like, but tell us, how much has the players missed Torero Stadium and the fan base?
Yeah, I think it's pretty clear. I think for those fans who were at the event the other day and had a chance to speak to the players, which I think was a great thing, just to get those personal touch points with the players. There's some great things about playing. There's some hard things about playing professional football, and like the best thing there is for the players is playing at home on a Saturday night in front of the fans. It's kind of why you do what you do, to experience those moments. So we've been missing them. The last one was in, I think, April. So it's been a minute, and they're excited. They're also excited to stop traveling, and not just traveling, like long travel. So we've missed the fans. We perform really well in front of the fans, and yeah, you guys are a big part of kind of like the platform, the base of how the team succeeds. So they're extremely excited. It's hard to really explain. So,
I mean, we even mentioned it to the counterparts over in the NWSL that share that stadium right now. And we asked them, like, hey, is it a competitive advantage to be in San Diego? Do you feel it is a competitive advantage? Like, as far as, the crowd that is there to support? Obviously you play in a empty Red Bulls arena, essentially, that's, just cacophonous of silence when there's 20 people there. But, coming back home, obviously the fans have a lot to do with it. But is that just something that you tally now that you kind of look back? Obviously, your first year, no fans. Second year, fans start coming in, start trickling in. But is San Diego does it have that competitive advantage, you would say, here in the USL?
Yeah, I would say most definitely, like, flat answer, yes, it's a huge deal. Just how the supporters like make an atmosphere. I think it's important that we play into it, the team, but I think even before the team is really performing at the top level, the fans are creating an atmosphere. And I think especially in the second half, it has a massive piece of it. And especially, I would say, in games where you can tell the crowd is into it even before the whistle. Like when the team goes to the locker room before the game, there's some games where are just absolutely electric. And so we would expect that this coming Saturday. It's just a part of the psychological nature of team sports. Like there's such an animation that happens with that as a coach, you don't even need to address. It's like the fans are doing it for you. And that's really hard to do on like 7 away games in a row. Like you have to manufacture it yourself, and it's more challenging. And there's a few stadiums around the country that I think do that. Like the away games that we've had success in, like our team plays better like that away to Phoenix, away to Tampa, away to New Mexico. These are all like very, very good environments. Sacramento sometimes. And so I would put ours at the top of that, just because even just how steep it is. I think even like how intimate the setting is, and then obviously the fans themselves, how organized you guys are, I think makes a huge difference.
On the flip side of that, take us through kind of the ups and downs of being on the road for so long. Like that's got to be a tough situation for the players and coaching staff alike to kind of get through a elongated road trip per se.
Yeah, look, it's challenging, and I don't think people who listen want to know like all the whatever. This is hard. Us being crybabies. Like I think at the end of the day, it's hard for everybody. I think you expect to get bad calls on the road. I think that you expect things to go wrong. You have to expect the expected. Like this is going to go bad at sometimes, and like it. I will say this: when it comes to our team, everything is measured upon the expectation. The expectation we've set, the club has set, is very high. So if you were to say, hey, we had this really long road stretch and we lost one of the games in May, and we literally just lost one of them, it'd be like, wow, that's, you can go look back at record books. Really good teams, like really champion teams that win the title, win 5 away games in a whole season. Oh, so wow. You have to take it into context. And so when you say, okay, we went away to Tampa, New Mexico, RGV, Galaxy, Red Bull, and we lost one of them, like you would say, okay, that's good. It's more, you would say very good. It's just the nature of, I think, how we went from 3 points to 1 point that makes you feel badly about it. And so when you have a hard travel day to RGV, or you get in at 4 a.m. to New York and it's hard and you get a point, it's like, in the context of things, it's not bad, but the expectation and the bar we have is 3 points every time. And that's the kind of club you want to play for, you want to coach for, and you want to support in your case. So it's all in context of which, like, your, I don't know, your expectations are. And then I will say the order of goals changes, like so we had two draws in a row, and how you feel about one is very different from how you feel about the other, just based on how the game played out. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, when you take the emotion out of it, you just see a point. And so sometimes you have to help the team see the bigger picture while asking them for more every single week, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. And obviously, that's something very interesting to put in that perspective, right? A lot of our listeners are just diehard supporters, and it's hard for them to take that emotion out, but you have to. Like, if you look at it just objectively.
Your job is to keep the emotion in. Sometimes our job is to keep the emotion in, and then sometimes it is to take the emotion out. So we sometimes need to be emotional, sometimes be non-emotional. So I think the fans, I want to coach at a club that gets angry at you after a loss. To me, that's like where I want to live, where I want to be type thing. Yeah. It's not nice after like that LA Galaxy game. It's not nice. You just want to be pissed at the ref. You want to be pissed at this, at all these things. And it's like, at the end of the day, what I've learned about bad moments in life is no one cares. Like, no one cares. And so the reality is you have to perform at the level where you take chance out of it. And I'll say that's a hard thing to do, but something I think this group's going to get to.
So you mentioned that LA Galaxy, and on the game we saw Landon approaching the referee after. Was there an explanation the referee gave as to why he extended even more after the extra time he gave?
No, there's not. There's no explanation. I think something that I'm in favor for is, I don't understand how we can, in professional sport, we can interview an 18, 19-year-old kid after a game and not interview a grown referee about what happened. So we just want to know like why. And then the problem we have, and I need to be careful here, I don't know who listens to what, is that like, you know, as a team, you're held accountable with fines from the league for this, that, and that. And like, it's just kind of one of those things when you see then the same refereeing crew do the next week, it's kind of like, man, like, you know, players pay attention, they're not stupid. And so, but at the end of the day, like if we make even one or two mistakes in the game as a staff, we're going to focus on, hey, okay, we didn't defend this corner the way we want to, and we need to be better, because pointing the finger doesn't win you anything. So while it's frustrating in the moment and you can blame the referees or this and that, like we know we're not at the peak and on the edge of the best performance that we're capable of ourselves. So for me, like, let's just solve what we can fix first.
So when it comes to that, right? So Alan actually a couple weeks ago mentioned that if we wanted to ask a question to a referee, there is a process for that. And this is where I'm going to start testing the waters, Nate. And you have to do it before the game without knowing any sort of outcome, before knowing, you know, what controversies were to happen. If you were to ask and have that opportunity to ask a referee a question without knowing the outcome, is there anything that you would want to ask any USL ref? Maybe not right now, you know, just obviously.
Well, there's points of emphasis. So like before, like every year they have like points of emphasis, like, hey, we're focusing on crowding the referee this year. They're focusing on staff touchline behavior, and they're focusing on like time wasting. So like ball and play time. But you know, as coaches, we don't get to manage up and be like, these are the three things we'd like to focus on. We'd like to focus on protecting the players. We'd like to focus on time wasting as well, just from a different perspective. And we'd like to focus on good communication with the staff, you know, whatever it is. And so I think we don't get the opportunity to do that, but nothing I would want to ask referee because they're human beings. So like, it's not what you're asking, is how you're asking. Is this a leading question? So it's really like, try to leave them alone and just do your job. So it's a really tricky situation. And I think without VAR, it's like, yeah, it can be frustrating, but at the same time, like everyone experiences this. So you hope that in the long term, everything balances out. But you know, it's one of those things, like I'll give you a very concrete real life situation. Like our players get win bonuses. Okay. So in stoppage time, when something like that happens, that hurts their pocketbook. So you have to understand that, and that's teammate mistake. That could be a coach makes a mistake, a referee makes a mistake. So this is real. So like people can scream and yell on Twitter or whatever, but I can promise you it doesn't hurt them as much as the players.
Absolutely. And that's something to remember, because again, you know, you look at, you know, transfer market, for as accurate or inaccurate as that may be, the USL salaries don't necessarily compare with other professional soccer players around the world, and even sometimes in the MLS. And that's a really good point. These are human beings, much like the referees themselves, right? The players, they have real life consequences with this. And
got bills to pay.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I can promise you no one's more motivated in stoppage time than our players. Like that's not the issue. And so yeah, obviously we've conceded some late goals, and you know, I think part of it is like it's a good thing that we've been able to like be the protagonist and be up in games. And in every level of football, like the last 10 minutes can sometimes be a shit show, you know, and you try, like, these are things that we're working on to, like, I always tell the guys there's like 80 minutes of football that we have structure, we play. And then like, no matter what you do and how good you are the last 10 minutes, because if you're winning in a game, people say, well, just keep playing the same way. Well, if they're throwing 8 into our box, you just say we should just play the same way and play 8v5 in our box. Like, no, you can't do that. You have to defend the players that are coming in your box. So it's like, it's this thing. I remember like 15 years ago, I remember people being like, why don't you keep playing the same way? You can try. And some of it isn't, you don't just try to become defensive. You're just defending what the other team is doing. Like you can't, you know, there's 2 teams playing out there. It's not like this is a piano contest where you can keep playing nicely, like someone's trying to smack you, you know? So you have to stop the person from smacking. So it's a delicate thing where like we want to keep being the protagonist and keep playing, but the other team is throwing caution to the wind, and that creates chaos. And what we're working on right now is continue to play our football and then manage the chaos in a really professional way, if that makes sense.
And
that would be a piano recital I would want to watch.
Yeah, me too. That's
Someone
why
trying
people
to play
come.
piano.
That's why
with,
more
like-
people come to soccer games than piano recitals.
That hurts me a little bit, but fair play.
As a music teacher, sorry, man.
So I've spoken to Koke at training, and I've asked him that before about conceding late into the game. He did let us know that a lot of it has to do with mental fortitude and just being mentally strong towards the end of the game. So do you agree with that as well? Do you feel like that takes a big part of the game to just finish the game mentally strong, and just that should be maybe a key to success to finishing out those games?
And how do you build that? How does San Diego Loyal build that?
Yeah, it's like okay, you can say it's the easy thing to say, right? Is let's be mentally strong, and Koke is right. Okay, what does that mean? Because I think something that I've learned throughout my career is that, like, teams don't learn lessons like individuals. Like, everyone sits in a locker room after a result and processes the same moment a little bit different. So when you hear a coach say the team learned a lesson, I'm not sure what that person is saying, because how the player that never went into the match processed it, who's going to be counted on later in the year, compared to the player that got subbed after he had a poor performance, or the player that played 90 minutes and played really well even through the chaos. Like, you can't say they all learned the same thing. So I think what mental fortitude, you say something like that, and we could write like a bunch of books about it, or someone smarter than me could write a bunch of books about it. But what I'm saying is, how do you train it? Is you train like, one, like, you have to just solve like really like pragmatically and factually, like, just little problems, instead of saying the easy thing is saying we have to be mentally stronger. The way you become mentally strong is by overcoming a hurdle that you're faced with, and then that is one deposit into your bank account of that's a habit of winning. So it's like you have to do it first, and everyone does it in a little bit of a different way, and everyone has a very different role in achieving that. So I don't want to just like simplify something that's a very complex topic, because there's different types of leads that you hold on to. There's different types of teams. But I always say, like, fear is the most powerful emotion, not just in football, but in life. And so, like, you basically have to, as individuals and as a collective, cast out fear. And just without, like, so what does it, and what I mean by that, let's just say, as a fan, when you watch a ball come to our box in minute 5, when it's 0-0, does it feel the same when the ball is launched into our box 90 plus 5 and we're up 2-1? It doesn't.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel the same to the players either. So I would just say that, like, you're not talking football, you're just talking about human emotion, human psychology. So, like, you have to learn to just, like, play what's in front of you without fear, and that's not an easy thing, and it's something you have to learn. And it's something that it doesn't matter. Like, every single player around the world is learning how to do that. I mean, the same situation just happened against, if you guys were watching, New Mexico, Orange County. They, right at the end of the game, the chaos ensued, and then they missed a penalty, and sometimes football is like this. So.
No, and it's good to hear that. Obviously, like, you guys take those intangibles into consideration in that place, because, to be honest, from this side of the game, right, like, going into that Galaxy game, as ridiculous as that end was, unfortunately, at the 70th minute, I was looking over to Chiva at the hangar with the great watch party that Weston put together. It's just, I'm like, it just doesn't feel right. Watch something's gonna happen. Boom, happened. Here we go again. And
You
again,
have to open your mouth, man.
and that's something that, like you said, the players do feel that. But it's good to.
But if we would have won that game, you would have never remembered yourself saying something doesn't feel right. It's like one
True.
of those, like, self-fulfilling prophecy things where it's like you say a lot of things, you feel a lot of things over the course of a match. I'm talking supporter, coach, player. Some of it happened. When it happens, you say, I knew it happened. If it doesn't happen, you just totally disregard what you said.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
or don't even remember it. So what I'm saying is, like, this is a normal thing to go through. No, it's not nice. Like, no one likes it. And then you come back and draw a game. It's like, well, they should have won the game anyways. And that's what I mean with expectations. And those are the expectations you live with, and you want to be a part of a club like that.
Yeah, so I know that, like, as an educator, it's really easy to get stuck on what's not working and, like, what can be improved. But, like, what's going well right now in your mind with San Diego Loyal? Like, give me a couple things that, like, hey, these things are working really well, or these elements of the game we feel are working really well. So let's talk some positives.
I'm assuming you're talking about the soccer side, right? Like
Oh,
I'm not
yeah,
gonna.
of course.
You can ask
1000%.
Ricardo the other stuff. I don't
Yes.
Reddit, right?
Yeah,
So
this is X's and O's.
I
This
do
is Miller
care about
time.
those. So I'll say a lot's going really well. Like we've had, we haven't played a home game in 2 months, and we're tied for third, so we're not that far off the top. So I would say like a lot is going well. If you watch the LA Galaxy game, like we played 92 minutes of really good football, good football. So we keep track of very specific KPIs, like key performance indicators, on meaning you can separate the result then from like how you're actually playing. And so there's a lot of things we're doing really well. We are like the areas we're getting on the field in the box and how we're breaking pressure and like going through the opponent and attacking the opponent with our possession is at a high level right now. Okay, a high level. We are like getting into areas where I would say the trend is we're not going to stop scoring goals. Right? I think we're very deep in the sense that we like have a good pattern, and guys who are coming off the bench have an opportunity to make an impact because of what we've done to the opponent so far. We're turning teams over high. There's other defensive stuff that we're working on, but like the last 2 games, we're turning teams over very high. Like our counter pressing stats are very good, meaning we're regaining the ball very quickly after we lose it. And just in general, we're the protagonist. Like we're not the team being reactive. And so that's like the base of what we want to do. We want to take the game to the opponent. And there's a lot of like things that we look for. What does that look like? So starting with our high press and then with our building on the back, like we're able to go from Koke to in front of the box, in front of the goal. I'm not saying we don't make mistakes. That's football. You make mistakes all the time, but I would say very efficiently. Okay. So in that process, sometimes we're giving the ball away in areas we shouldn't. In that process, like in the pressing process, we're not like defending the area just outside of our box well enough. There's things that we're obviously not doing well, or else we'd be in first place. But we're doing a lot of things extremely well. So it's hard to go away from home in a long stretch and try to play like the home team. That's just a phrase we use to like play dominant football. Most teams go away and try to survive. And I'm not saying that's a bad way to play. It's just not our way. And so I think that we're doing some of those things very well.
So go for it.
It does make those matchups pretty fun to watch, though. Like when you're going on the road, because some of those teams that sit back are like they're trying to get points, but it might not be the prettiest thing to watch. So it's like you kind of live by the excitement, die by the excitement a little bit, I think. But I know a lot of people really appreciate that style of football, especially on the road, to watch a very entertaining match. And I think a lot of neutrals really appreciate Loyal going on the road and trying to make it a match and make it entertaining. Right. And sorry, Tony.
Yeah, and there's 2 ways. There's a pragmatic approach to it where you just look at how you get points in football. So let's say we went to 3 hard away games. You guys name the teams. And we lost the first one like 1-0, and then we drew the last 2, but we hung on. People are like, man, 2 draws on the road. That's good. And then you take those 3 games and you lose the first one. Maybe you shouldn't have won. You win the second one. You just take it to the opponent. And the third one, you went for it, and lost right at the end. Well, you have 3 points instead of 2. And some might experience more pain the second way, but we have more points. So it's like, are you looking at it proactively or not? So we go away. It'd have been very easy after we tied the game at Tampa for us to set up shop.
Yeah.
But not only did we get the 3 points, but we also gave moments for the club. Like we could have set up shop away at Phoenix, away to Tampa, and that's 6 points instead of 2. And it's hard to then gain 4 points somewhere else on the road. So I would just say like, if you're a supporter of our club, maybe that helps you to hear like when we're away and it's tied, you bet your ass we're going for it. Okay. And it's pragmatic in the sense that we want the points, but it's also like, if we want to be the best, we're not going to go somewhere and just try to hang on. And it's not out of arrogance. It's just out of like, do you want to support a team that has a vision, or a club that's just like, just trying their best out there to not get embarrassed or whatever, or not expose themselves to trying to do what they want to do. I don't know if I'm making sense to you guys.
No, it 1000% is. And that's the thing. Like what's the difference? Because obviously, looking back at the past years, you're not going to sit here and say, well, if we tie, we're not just going to sit back. But this year, it just seems like there's just an extra oomph to this team. Is it just the players that are here?
We have good players, man. Like at the end of the day, you need good players, and we have good players, and we've always been trying to do the same thing. And what we've done a good job, I think, is retaining the key core guys. Like you can't like Colin Martin, for example, has been getting better and better and better every year, and that guy is just got balls, man. He goes away from home. That guy's asking for the ball at the top of his box and stoppage time. He don't care. He doesn't care. And we've built with guys like that. And then you bring in, call them our knives. Like now we've got some serious knives. Like a guy like Thomas Among comes in the game and he'll hurt you, And so we just need to keep getting in the spots. And some days he'll draw blood, and other days maybe they backed out of the way, and that's it. And we got guys that can hurt you now. And it's just, at the end of the day, it's about the quality of the players and what these guys are capable of doing. And it's our job to like put them in the right spots. So
is Kyle Vassell just like everything you dreamed he was when he finally made it onto the pitch? Obviously training last year, not being able to play with the team, but is he pretty much everything you hoped he'd be this season and more? Or how do you feel about that?
I mean, what do you guys think?
I fucking love it.
I think he's a baller, man.
He's all right.
Of course. Yeah, I'm not going to tell you guys anything about. I will say like, he's up for it every day in train. Like he has that like bit of nasty that our team needs. We have that in pockets of our team, like Collins like that. I think Stoney's like that. But I think to lift a trophy, you kind of need some guys that are just like, like they're just. I use the word conflict, but I mean that in a good way. You need just enough conflict on your team to go out and fight and do the business. And, he definitely has that. And he's also like really good teammate. So
how's Koke, by the way? He did come off with an injury. How is he doing right now?
Yeah, we're monitoring it. I mean, we need to figure, we had a long travel, so we're getting it assessed right now. So.
Got it. And that's the thing. It is still a longer season. If people are at home are playing, this is, the second season where San Diego Loyal play a full season. We're in the middle of it, and it's still, it's still technically kind of a pandemic. We're still kind of coming out of it, and there's still some rust that, maybe needs to be, worn off. But I'm just very happy to hear that, the team is in a position where they just want to move forward, and they want it as much as the supporters want it, if not more, as you were mentioning. And that really does come across, especially in some of these hard-fought games. But I mean, I want to press the issue. You were talking about having that little spice element, right, in up front with Kyle Vassell. There was some of that last year with another striker that's now coming to visit on the 11th. You guys know this guy, obviously.
What are you talking about?
Coriberto.
Coriberto.
Herzog obviously coming back with Hartford. You guys keeping an eye on that? Like, obviously he has experience here in San Diego Loyal, or are you just treating it as another match, another player? Here we go.
Look, like it's obviously like he was just here, so it's a thing. Like it's something like, oh wow, we're playing Corey, and that's kind of crazy. I think he's made them a much better team. There's no doubt. He kind of fits what they are just what they are, and then like he gives them like a whole different intangible. I think, but at the same time, like we're not the team, like we don't get an advantage by getting into all the shenanigans with Corey. Like that's not going to help us. For us, it's just like dominate the game, make him chase our back three around, and then like we know the type of movements he has. And stay away from any of the extras. Like he's pretty clever in how he like reels you into some of the extra stuff. So it's more just like, hey guys, like let's stay away from that and just, make him chase you for 90 minutes. So I think, look, the human element's always there. Like but you guys would actually be surprised. Like you guys experience Corey, but like on almost every opponent we have, there's like a former teammate, there's a former something, there's always something there that guys know with some history. And like, this isn't like, I know it's new for the supporters, but I will say it's not that new for some of these guys.
Yeah, and it
Like
helps when you
Jack
have
Metcalf's been in the league.
Yeah.
Jack Metcalf's been in the league for forever. So not surprising.
This guy is having dinner with an opponent after every game. He knows everybody.
No, I mean, and like I said, it's going to be very interesting. I'm finally glad to see San Diego Lola here at home because it's just rejuvenating in all senses, and I'm pretty sure that is for you guys. What does that training look like when you are on a long road schedule like that? Is it touch and go where you guys come back home base, train a day, then leave? Obviously, some of this travel is cross country. You were mentioning Tampa. You just went to New York. You know, middle of nowhere in Texas with RGV.
Oof, yeah.
What is that like training schedule like? Do you guys, you know, I can't imagine. I have to imagine it's incredibly difficult to instill every, you know, the mental aspects and, you know, watching film on the road.
Yeah, well, you have a plan. Obviously, it's very challenging because you have a plan, and then let's say you have a travel day that didn't go well. So like, they sat on the tarmac until like 3 a.m. in New York, and so then you have to adjust and changing time zones. The hardest one by far was New Mexico with the altitude and combined with the heat. That was like a killer. So you basically, the hard thing, if you go home away, it's not bad. The problem with going away so many days is that you're losing 2 days a week with the long travel, which are not recovery days. So you basically, if you just take 4 away games in a row, for example, like you lost 8 days to either recover or to train. And so just from a very practical perspective, you're just losing time and even just mental energy, because it's very hard to have a long travel day and then sit the guys down in the hotel room right when they get there before they go to bed and do a film session. You have to think about like, it's not, that's a hard thing to be able to do, like, and get results and get actually, rather than just check it off the box, you actually have to do some, utilize what you're doing. So yeah, it's really hard because you're losing 2 days of a week, and then you back, and that goes week after week after week, and you're basically just having 5-day weeks. So I think that's hard. And just the cumulative loss of sleep, load, all these things. And so then you take all that and then attach that next to a game that gets decided by 2 or 3 moments. You can see how that's a challenge. But like, I think that's what, being good at that is why you become champions. Like you have to be good at that. And so, yeah, the training, sometimes we train like right before we travel, we'll train and then we'll travel. And other times we travel in the morning and train on site. So we do it 2 different ways, depending on the length of the trip, what the travel day is going to look like and training facility.
Yeah, the other thing I want to throw in there too, I think yesterday kind of reminded me of this as well, is like we have to remember that it's not just training and traveling. It's also like some of these players have wives and kids and life and all of the other things that we deal with on a daily basis as well, on top of all of those expectations. So it was interesting to get some of that perspective from some of the players' wives yesterday on just kind of how tough it is for them to be on the road, kind of maybe at the end of the school year where things are already chaotic at home and they're trying to manage home, and and this is better than the 3 of us do. And so I think it's just something that as supporters we need to remind ourselves, like they're giving everything, they're traveling so much, and then when they get back they have to deal with the crap that we're dealing with at home with a garbage disposal not working, or so on top of all of those stresses, you have the home life stress. So it's pretty impressive what you guys have been able to do with managing the people with this long road trip.
Well, I hope so. I don't know if we've done a perfect job. Obviously, we'd love to have more points, but I'll say, like, you just have to remember they're just normal people. They're just normal guys. Like, there are days that, like, you guys go to your work and you're just like, oh, and you don't have a lot of conflict. Maybe you don't have a lot of conflict in your job, or maybe whatever. But I mean, being a teacher sounds so hard. I think that's just one of those things where it's like, for me, it's always person over player. You always have to remember, like, they are just normal men, and like sometimes this is going well, sometimes this is going wrong, and so like we try our best to like see like the individual first, and not just assume they're these machines that like produce results. But I know that's what most of the people like view footballers as, and that's fair enough. That's why we're here to balance that out. So
It is a job. Like it might be the coolest job in the world, but it's still a job at the end of the day. And there's a clock in, clock out mechanism at the Olympic Training Center. I've seen it. No, there's not there. But
What better way to spend the summer at home then? Like you said earlier, 9 of the next 11 games are home matches, which is pretty much the whole summer.
and in San Diego, what more do you want?
Yeah, we need it, and it's huge because I think the first couple everyone's going to be excited. So I think what I hope is that like we produce some great performances and results, and then like when we have multiple games in a row, people keep coming, and like we need it. Like like I know everyone's excited for us to be back. We're just like they're eager to perform and for you guys.
And definitely that's something that we love about it too, is like, again, top to bottom, even in the front office, people care about the city, care about soccer here in San Diego. And I'm really, really happy to have a team to represent here. And hopefully it keeps on moving forward, man.
It must be nice to play in great weather and not in hot rain away. So that has to be great.
For sure.
Perfect. So, real quick, Nate, obviously you are a busy man, but I would hate if I didn't ask, obviously you've spent more time here in San Diego. What are some of the highlights of San Diego thus far for you? Some of the hottest spots, somewhere where you go, for your morning California burrito. What are some routines here in San Diego that Nate Miller really enjoys?
That's hard. So I'm at the stage of life where we have an 8, 6, and a 4-year-old. So I'm not like, going to the gas lamp, and just chilling out on a Friday night. That's not my current lifestyle. So we enjoy as a family. Like we live out here in East Lake, and there's some great outdoor stuff. We love just going to the beach because, we lived in the Midwest for a long time. And then, I think for us, we love if we have a night that my wife and I can go out, we love going to like Little Italy or somewhere down there and just chilling out. It's just everything here is great. Like honestly, just being outside all the time, like living your life outdoors is awesome. But right now we're in that I have kids, man. So I'm not I'm not looking for ways to fill my calendar. Let's just say it that way. My job right now is to get the team ready to perform in matches, and we have a 10-month season, and it's not a lot of off time. So I'm just on that grind, but I love it. Like I will be honest with you, like when I show up to training every day, it's like a huge joy for me. And it's something that like I love to do. I'm not waiting for my chance to go explore San Diego. My life is the club, and what we're doing every day. That's truthfully how my life is. Hey, maybe I sound like boring, but that's just really my life.
Football is life.
Es la vida, straight up.
Yeah.
But perfect.
You still haven't seen Ted Lasso. You don't get it.
I live it. It's okay. It's fine. But thank you, Nate, again for your time, because again, you're in the middle of a 10-month season, and you guys have a lot of home games to look forward to. And again, really appreciate your time and just hanging here with us, and hopefully we get another Miller time after the next half of the season, maybe next third. Thank you. Yeah. And see where we're at right there. But
you guys, next time we talk, you can grade our homestand. Okay.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Oh, yeah.
All right. You guys can grade the homestand.
I won't wish you guys luck. Landon has gotten on my case about that. He said they don't need luck. So
no, he really did. No, he's
you
straight
can wish us luck. You can wish us luck, Chiva. I'll take the luck.
Like,
you can wish us. Luck. You can wish us good refereeing vibes.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. I mean, it'll happen in the USL, but
in the music world, sometimes we just say good skill. Like
good. Oh, that's good.
Oh,
I like
skill.
that.
Nice.
That's rich. I'm going to use that, Alan. Good skill.
There you go.
Perfect.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Right, thank you. Appreciate your time, Nate.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you. See you out
Goodbye,
there on Saturday.
Good one.
Appreciate you.
Goodbye. Yeah, for sure. Bye-bye.